Well, we talk of highlights during the course of the year, and no doubt this is one of the highlights for the work riders. And however you look at the race card, it is something that I look forward to because these guys, they are a standard now, and we'll speak to Alistair Cohen about that. They are a standard at a level now in riding, the majority of them, I would think, where it is follow with confidence if you like the form, because we've seen it in the past. These guys, they know their stuff, and it is the Work Riders Challenge. The winner of 2021-2022 Work Riders Challenge was Sam Mercia, with tons of experience under the belt to Sam. What have they put on? They've put on 8 races, and Alistair Cohen has firmly been part of this. In fact, I'm sure he shares a close relationship up in Gauteng with most of these guys. Alistair, good day, and for me, you know what, say what you want, it's a race meeting that I look forward to.
Yeah, Dees, it's always good fun. Just from a pure vibe perspective, the race course obviously gets packed up by friends and family of the various work riders, which makes a very quiet day at the Vaal feel a little bit more important. It is the Hollywoodbets Durban July race. Now, I know that they get 3 rolls of the dice through the Work Riders series, but what is a little bit different about this particular season is that it's a bit of a changing of the guard with the likes of Joe Gwingiza and Goodman Daramasi and a few others that have recently gone off to Japan to become Work Riders and earn some yen, which is far more beneficial than the rands that they were earning here. So it leaves a bit of a gap. But as you know, being a jockey's agent and a very successful jockey's agent, that it's a nice opportunity for young work riders to step forward and potentially take that mantle. I mean, obviously, we saw Sam Mercia around. You know, when I was going through this card, I couldn't help but smile thinking that, you know, Sam could have been a professional jockey. You know, he's obviously getting on a little bit, but he's head and shoulders, well, him and probably Tapiso Matswela and Anati Feni, probably the 3 guys that many punters will follow. But you've got a young crop. I don't know too much about all of them, but they're 2 youngsters that I think, you know, could well pick up that mantle of the Gwingizas and the Daramasis in the form of Sian Yendeki, and also the guy that's been riding a bit for Sean Terry lately, Kirsten Kwangi. So, yeah, a few guys that, a few youngsters that could very well come into the line as the years go on. And this obviously the day that they can shine against their peers and hopefully, you know, get an opportunity to step forward if they so wish. And also remember, the Work Riders was the starting point of Lyle Hewitson, of Calvin Habib, Trent May, who's now gone over to the Jockeys Academy as well, Sereno Mudley, Diego de Gavea, Road and Work Riders racer. So it's not the starting point that many would recommend, but it's still, if Lyle can become a worldwide name through the Work Riders rank, there's nothing stopping some absolute hidden treasure from doing the same.
What we're going to do, we're going to chat a bit more about the work riders during the course of this preview, but let's get straight into it. I mentioned there's 8 races, so the bar pot will begin in race number 1 at 13:35. I've jotted down the betting, Alistair, and I'll give you the horses in single figures. Number 1's at 4-10, number 5's 8-1, and number 6 is at 3-1. So they got an odds-on shot here in the form of Fort Lauderdale, deep in the red.
Yeah, I think he deserves a place at the top of the boards. The blinkers go on, and Kelsey Munger also goes on. I'm sure she would have thrown a leg over this because obviously Kelsey is Ashley Fortune's assistant, not for much longer until she goes over to Canada. And obviously Ashley's based at the Vaal, as is Bar and Buerta, so I'm sure that there would have been a little bit of talk from Bar into Kelsey before this ride was engaged and confirmed. He deserves a place at the top of the boards. His form is obviously a good deal ahead of the others. The biggest danger has to be number 6, Someday Maybe. There's a form update for this filly by Flying the Flag. Siyabonga Mthembu was in the Jockeys Academy once upon a time under the name Siyabonga Duma. I don't know if you remember Siyabonga and Sanele Duma. This is Siyabonga Duma. And the form update came from a week ago in, to be fair, a weak maiden, but we can't be saying that this is a strong maiden. Someday Maybe ran 3rd, 4 lengths behind War Empress, who was 1-4 favourite. So I think from a swinger and exacta perspective, number 6, Someday Maybe, is now back up for number 1, Fort Lauderdale, but Fort Lauderdale sets a clear standard.
Yeah, I think that is it. Number 6, Sunday Maybe, did catch the eye last time out, and Alistair giving you that form update. That's the filly that I think could possibly make a presence felt against the odds-on shot here. Number 1, Fort Claudelate, if that run has come too soon and maybe insufficient recovery could see her not run, but hopefully she takes a place, because at the time of recording, she's a definite run-up. Number 8, Monday. Maybe. Okay, race number 2 is the start of the place accumulator. It's over 1,500 meters. And of course, this is for fillies and mares. Again, we go to the betting as a guide for you. Number 1 is at 4-1. And another odds-on shot, number 4, Miss Christmas. Now, Miss Christmas is a filly that I've been previewing with Alistair since she debuted. And she's taking a bit of time, but maybe she's found the right race.
Yeah, I think that's got to be the stance here, Dees. Tom Lukele rides for Lucky Hoodalakis. They like family. I'll probably say that a few times throughout the preview with work riders and trainers, but Tom has been with Lucky, I think, since Lucky took out his license, so they know each other very well. And Tom's ridden Miss Christmas before, and that was her best start to date when finishing 3rd to Roslyn. It's her first time up the Vaal straight, so that could be a bit of a question mark, but, I've said this before as well when it comes to the Vaal Straight. It's either you can or you can't with these horses, but Lucky Hoodalakis tends to get his horses to be particularly good down the Vaal Straight, so I wouldn't make that much of a worry. I think if you're looking for angles here, you're probably looking for spooks. So I think number 4, Miss Christmas, is the right one. Haslo Grande ran a fair race post-maiden. Subsequently, to being beaten less than 4 lengths by Haslo Grande, is probably good enough to win this race. Her biggest danger is number 7, Paradise Flower. Now, I called her last run behind Beguiling. On paper, it might not look all that encouraging, but she's got a bit more scope to improve than the others. And I don't think that was a horrible effort. It was a good step forward from her debut to her second start. And for a while, I wouldn't say she looked dangerous, but for a while she looked like she'd finish a little bit closer than 6 1/4 lengths behind. The second horse was that frustrating Maiden Broadlands, who's run again and placed again. But I think number 7, Paradise Flower, look, to call her value in a small field, in a small weak field like this, is probably overplaying it. But I think if there's any danger to number 4, Miss Christmas, 7, Paradise Flower is the one. PA perspective, banker number 4, Miss Christmas in the bar pot. I'll back her up with number 7, Paradise Flower.
And I omitted to give you the betting on number 7. Apologies. That's at 22-10. So that is the second pick in the betting market. And after that good last start where she was at any price, 33-1, she's now 22-10 in the work rider. So let's see how she goes. Number 7, Paradise Flower. Miss Christmas, as Alistair mentioned, could be in the right race. 1,400, 1,600, 1,800, 2,000, now 1,500 meters. Let's see how she goes, and hopefully she can deliver for the guys that are going to go in there confident. Talking about confidence, not too long ago, I don't know how long ago it was, Alistair, but there was a work riders race meeting, and I played that day. I think there must have been 8 out of the 9 races, they were favorites that won. I mean, the guys just booted them home for the punters.
I think the stance with work riders races is because they all maidens, Deeds. I think a lot of trainers take the stance that this is a good opportunity for battling maidens, for poor maidens to perhaps earn a stake check. And when the form horses come up, they tend not to disappoint because of the depth of the race.
Okay, how are we going to play the pick 6 now? It's race number 3, starts off at 14:45. And this is a maiden plate for fillies and mares. I'll tell you how they're betting. Number 1 is at even money, 2 at 17-10, 3 at 7-2, and that is it. Those are the 3 runners in the small field that dominate, and the market seems to think numbers 1 and 2 could be good enough. If you're looking for cover, only number 3. The balance looks like they're going to battle in black and white, Alistair.
Well, I've taken the stance here that the result will be 1, 2, and 3 in no particular order. So from a PA perspective, I think you can banker one of them. I don't see any spooks here turning over the 3 at the top of the boards. I don't particularly like number 2, Pink Diamond, so she'd be my third choice here, even though I do like the work rider and coming from an inform yard. I think Pink Diamond is just a battler. I think she's had her problems. It would be great for the family for her to get a win because she's from a famous South African family with the mother Zirconium being runner-up in the July over a decade ago. But I have my doubts about it. So from a bipot perspective, I'm torn between 1 and 3. I've banked number 1 Unyielding in my bipot, therefore in my place accumulator. And the pick 6, I will back her up with number 3 Elusive Fire. But Unyielding down the straight, she does have a habit of over racing. If Anati Fanny can just keep her head and she doesn't pull, she'll be very, very hard to beat. She's taken a leaf out of her mother's book, of course, Headstrong. I think, if I'm not mistaken, won the South African filly sprint at Hollywoodbets Scottsville. So another famous family from Wilkerbos and Maritzfontein. This is probably her best opportunity to win. I think her best run, which was 3 3/4 lengths behind Marty Goddess, is simply good enough to win this race. 3 Elusive Fire obviously got beaten by Platina Princess just a week ago. Platina Princess was very, very impressive when beating all the opposition. And I've just made mention of the beguiling former race earlier. So if Paradise Flower does win race 2, then number 3 Elusive Fire becomes all the more interesting from a pick 6 perspective.
I can tell you it was Headstrong. I can't remember the owner, but I can clearly remember the colors. Brown body, blue cap. I can clearly remember that because I backed her. She did win the South African filly sprint, Headstrong. I don't know if you can remember those colors there, but it was a brown body, blue cap. I don't see those colors nowadays in the race card, but 100% brown body, blue cap.
You've jolted my memory. You've jolted my memory, Dees. Was it not? Did Michael Jabbett not have 2 horses running in that race?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I think
because
so.
Because I'm convinced Mary Flack had a share in Headstrong, but I also don't remember her winning in Mary's colours. So yeah, it must have been Javet with 2 horses in the race, and that must have been carrying the second colours.
I think so. That's it. Race 3. We're done. Let's see how that happens. 1, 2, and 3, or 1 and 2 if you want to play it short. On to race number 4 over 1,200 meters, and it's jackpot time. And let's see how they're betting here in the first leg of the jackpot. Well, they got number 6, Freedom Square, at 18 to 10, and then number 8 at 11 to 2. And then Fabian Habib's runner is at 13 to 10. The balance are all in double figures. Yeah, this is, it's turning out to be a race meeting. When I took down the betting yesterday and just had a look at the form of the respective races, you're either just going to have form results and you need to catch the exotics multiple times like the PA, or if you're going to look for, those rough diamonds in this type of field, then you're going to get big cash.
Yeah, Dees, I've taken the stance in this meeting that I'd rather make an idiot of myself for little money rather than tip a 5,000 Rand pick 6 and try and chase a big result, because I can't see it. Like I said earlier, if you start looking for spooks of this race meeting, you're going to have an almighty pick 6, and it still might not work out in your favor. It's not like you can shop around in these maiden races for work riders and find a 66 to 1 shot that you think, right, that's the one in the race. You don't have handicap drops, you don't have jockey strikes, etc., at this level. So I think to keep it simple is probably key. When it comes to race 4, again, I've kept it simple. Number 11, Chrome Tourmaline, is a 2-year-old taking on older opposition, but put up a very nice debut behind Call Me When You Need Me. She was unlucky not to finish closer when she showed signs of greenness, being a bit slow away, and then probably losing momentum at a crucial stage. She's bred to be forward, hence she got out quite early, and with Chapitha Matsuelo on board for the informed Fabian Habib, there are very few worries about number 11 Chrome Tourmaline in a race of this caliber. Back up in the bar pot comes from number 6 Freedom Square, who of course is a half sister to the very talented and good looking grey mare Anna Capri. Freedom Square's debut could have been better, but I think she'll step forward and learn a lot with that run under the belt, and definitely the biggest danger to number 11 Chrome Tourmaline. I don't see too much else here. One Greenlight Ranger I considered, but coming off a layoff is a bit of a worry, and Corey Lensley has not been in great form at the moment, although I expect that to change sometime soon. So for me, 11 from 6 in race number 4.
I just want to touch on number 1, Green Light Strength, this horse of Corey Lensley's. Now, Green Light Ranger, Alistair, talk about writing your own manual, because where do you see this? I mean, I haven't seen this. We look at race form and race cards all the time. 1,600 starts off, then goes to a 1,400, and then the 1,200. When last have you seen that?
That's a heck of an observation, that, Steve. I haven't seen that. So this smacks of perhaps a reset because her best run came over a mile down the straight as well. Last time I see she returned lame, so that probably explains the few months off since late November. She comes from a solid family as well. Lucky Hudolakis had a lot of success with the mother Joan Ranger, and she's produced a few good ones. But number one, Greenlight Ranger, just seems to be a little bit on the back foot for now. Every chance of earning a stake check here, but I think she's got two to beat.
Well, if it was a 1,000-meter race, I would be lumping on with number one, Greenlight Ranger. Okay, let's move along to race number 5, and this is over 1,200 meters. And this maiden plate, let's see how they're betting here. Number 1 is at 22 to 10. 5 is also at 22 to 10. 7 to 2, number 6. And then we got these horses at the bottom. Number 9 at 7 to 1. And number 10 at 6 to 1. They can't split them on top between numbers 1 and 5. And I don't know what to make of that introduction of number 5, Crown Prince. But was beaten, some way.
My eyes lit up when I saw this race. Number 6, Green Dynamite, I think is a huge runner here because when you just start adjusting things, Green Dynamite was beaten. Let's round things up. 10 lengths by Nettleton.
Yes.
Now, out of the Nettleton run, this horse, Fully Automatics, was beaten 2.5 lengths by Crown Prince, and Fully Automatics beat Crown Prince by 9 lengths. So I think when you adjust things, there'll be sweet little to choose between numbers 5 and 6. And with the betting that you've just given, there's no doubt that number 6, Green Dynamite, is better value. Now, to add to that, there was a few excuses for both, to be fair. Green Dynamite, let's start off with him because he was slow away, so, lost momentum at the start. And on debut, it's obviously very hard to make up that ground and just, proved to be quite difficult and faded over the closing stages. So, enough to work with for number 6, Green Dynamite. Goes an extra 200 meters. Green Dynamite is a full brother to Cash Time, who stayed well with Ashley Fortune. Wasn't with Ashley Fortune for his whole career, but when getting to Ashley Fortune, won a few races over an extended trip and placed on countless occasions. So I think number 6, Green Dynamite, is the right one of these two unexposed youngsters. 5, Crown Prince, obviously deserves a lot of respect with the inform yard, with a top work rider on board. I think he'll be in the first 3. So from a bipod place accumulator perspective, they are the safest options. Number 1, Pembroke, I'm not sold with him. A better last run, yes. Chamo Mabaya takes the ride for Mike de Kock. They go back forever. Chamo's at Randfontein every morning riding work for Mike, as everybody knows. I'm sure he'll be down in KZN for champion season as well. Chamo will ride the absolute best and worst from Mike's yard. So, it would be wonderful for Mike to reward him on a day like this. But I think the more unexposed runners with lots to work with, 5 and 6, are the two to fight this out.
Yeah, just speaking about de Kock and Chami Mabaya, I just want to touch on something with Alistair before we move along to race number 6. I'm sure he's had conversations with Mike as well, and talking about these work riders, and the world could be their oyster if they got the opportunity. And Alistair, Mike's given these guys plenty of opportunity once he started his trek to Dubai and, of course, to the rest of the world. Many of his grooms have seen and have even stayed abroad.
Yeah, well, spot on. There are quite a few ex-Mark de Kock guys that are in Dubai working for other big yards still at Maidan. For example, Cashington Kudumba, who Mark took over maybe 5-6 years ago. And obviously Cash does commute between South Africa and Dubai. He's probably back here now. But Cashington rides a lot of work for Musaba Al-Maheri and also for Doug Watson in the UAE. So that just shows the opportunity that Mark has given these guys. Anati Fanny has travelled the world with Mark's horses. Took Anati a long, long time to decide that he wanted to ride on work riders races, but look at the results. A lot of the trainers in the half-elts are, taking a leaf out of Mark's book and doing a lot of community outreach with their work riders. And I think the biggest feather in Mike's cap is that when it comes to Charmo especially, and Anati as well, is that in the morning, Martin knows that he's not going to get a travelling jockey. Let's say hypothetically, Keegan DeMello is based on the half-old, but he rides all day, every day. He knows he's not going to get Keegan every morning. Or Craig Zaki, here's the perfect example. Based on the half-old, rides every day, rides a lot for Mark de Kock, top jockey. You're only going to get Craig twice, 3 times a week if you're lucky. But with these work riders, Mark cannot go to work in the morning without Charmo Mabaya and Anati Feni being there. So, it just shows the trust that a world-class trainer like Mark de Kock has in the work riders, the feedback, the feel. And like I said, I know for a fact that Charmo and Anati ride the best in Mark's yard, the worst in Mark's yard. And, the services that they do for him on all those horses is as valuable as the guys that ride them on race day.
Yeah, I think racing is missing a trick there with not more coverage of what happens behind the scenes with the work riders and, of course, their lives around racehorses. Race number 6, over 1,800 meters. And let's see how they're betting here, Alistair. Number 1, 7-10. Number 2 is at 13-10. And that is it. 2-horse race.
And that is it, Dees. I think number 1 on the guest list wins. Impression worth another chance because the saddle slipped last time out. And I don't think there's anything that can trouble them. I'm just looking at it again to see if there's anything I've missed. Number 4, Coffee in Brazil, actually moved up to a point last time out and then just completely faded out of it. So I'm surprised she's not dropping in distance or having the blinkers removed, although with blinkers she's improved about 20 lengths. No, one from 2 here. 2 very capable of winning it just because of what happened last time out. But number 1 on the guest list, more deserving for now. And I'll be surprised if the winner comes from elsewhere. If you don't trust number 1 on the guest list, the only backup you can have is number 2, Impression, from a Big Six and jackpot perspective.
Short and sweet, race number 6, form result. Race number 7, 1,800 meters. And what's happening here? Well, this is a bit more tricky because if the betting is to be guided, because there's no horse that's, standing out. Number 1 at 9-2, 2 at 11-2, 3 at 7-1, 6 at 9-2. Then we have 9 and 10, the de Kock runners. 7-2 is Mambo Come Tessio. And in the filly, she's trading at 7-1. Let's begin with Mike's runners. Do you prefer the filly or the gelding?
I'm going to lean here towards the filly. Number 10, Turn the Beat Around. I like Mambo Come Tessio last time, and I think that he'll appreciate the extra run under the belt and the extra distance. But I think number 10, Turn the Beat Around, is just more ready. But with that said, I think the winner is going to be number 6, Mun's Knight, who, of course, is a half-brother to Mel Moose. He ran in a handicap last time. Go and watch that again because he was slow away and he slung around runners when they got onto the back straight. And only until the final 200 meters did he start to stagger. So I think with a bit more patience from Siami and Deg, and I suppose, taking nothing away from Gabriel Peterson, his instructions were probably go to the front, but, losing ground at the start just made it look a little bit worse than it probably was. Overall, I think Mun's Knight was limited, but is anything here going to be running in the Hollywoodbets Durban July? I don't think any of them would probably win a race in July. So number 6, Mun's Knight, for me, probably the right one if he comes out nicely. He's certainly no good thing. The Haslo Grande form is prominent in this race. Number 1, Desert Fox finished in front of Ngogo Shesha, Time to Meditate, and Volta Fuss on the 23rd of March. So that points to number 1, Desert Fox. To add to that, Desert Fox beat Ngogo Shesha on the 29th of January, and Ngogo Shesha finished in front of Wonderworld when they met behind Positive Attitude. The yard wasn't right last time when Wonderworld ran, so expect a better run from him under Tapiso Matswele. But, on pure form, he's still got 1 or 2 to turn it around with. So all in all, 6 Mun's Not my top choice. Respect for 1, Desert Fox. 10, Turn the Beat Around. In probably the best race, in fact, easily the best race on the day.
Okay, and then we move along to the lucky last race, number 8. It's over 1,500 meters and straight into the betting here. Number 1 is at 13-10, 3 at 8-1, 5 is at 7-1, and we got a first timer here that I don't know anything about, but maybe Alistair, if he's heard anything on the ground. That's trading at 7-2. Anything about this first timer, or are we just going to take it on what we have in the betting market?
These I know nothing, but it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Lucky set one up in the Work Riders, because it wouldn't be the first time that he's done it. He had a very good filly a few years ago. Was it not Ha Lucy in Heinrich Rix's colours that was punted off the boards under Tom Lukele first time up and won? So Lucky's done it before, and this Total Surrender is a half brother to second base. If he's half as good as second base, he'll win this race. Number 1, Celtic Rush, is probably the one to beat in this race, but I have an inkling that this horse, Activator, number 3 on the card, is going to improve and run nicely. I know steps up just by meters, so it's not like, there's a huge difference in the stance that he's taking in this particular race. But I saw enough over 1,000 meters in his penultimate start to suggest that he's going to win a race sooner rather than later. It will be a weak maiden. It could be the weak maiden that number 3 Activator features. So I wouldn't leave him out of trifectas and quartets. Bob's, your uncle, obviously won a great race a week ago at the Vaal when coming back from and snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. So I think just keep watching the betting on number 11, Total Surrender. Obviously short at this time. Bookmakers taking no chances with the fact that he doesn't have to be too good to win. 1, Celtic Rush, I don't think is overs by any stretch of the imagination if the first time is no good, because I think number 3 Activator could be good value in the race.
Have you given a bet for the show, Ali?
Yeah, it's a bipod, D's. And it's a cheap bipod as well. So it won't take long to work this one out. It's getting underway at 25 to 1. The first race, which is the start of the bipod. I've gone Banker 1, Fort Lauderdale, by 4 and 7, Miss Christmas and Paradise Flower, by Banker 1, Unyielding in race 3, by 6 and 11, which are Freedom Square and Chrome Tourmaline, by 5 and 6, Crown Prince and Green Dynamite, by Banker 1 on the guest list. So it's Banker by 2 horses, by Banker, by 2 horses, by 2 horses, by Banker. That's an 8 rand perm.
Yep, as we say goodbye to Alistair, all that's left for us to say, Ali, is that we wish all these guys the best on the day. It's a massive day for them, for their tireless efforts behind the scenes, for all the stables that they work for, and of course getting an opportunity to prove themselves at the races. So all the best to the work riders, Alistair.
Yeah, these absolutely echo those sentiments. May all riders and horses come back safely. We wish that obviously on every race meeting. But as we said at the top of the show, it's their big day, one of their big days. They gear up for this. They ride extra work in the mornings. Their legs are like jelly on Thursday morning. And obviously the stake check at the end of it all, or the winner's check at the end of it all, it could be better. It probably should be more substantial for them, because I think it's stagnated over the last few years. But, it means the world to them, and the opportunities they've got from the various trainers is seriously well received.
Yeah, what we're saying is that they need a serious sponsor, these work riders. But on behalf of Alistair Cohen, the Gallop TV team, and myself, Dees Dinan, well, hopefully it turns out to be a wonderful day for you playing the Work Riders Race Day, or the Work Riders Challenge, where there looks to be some cherries for the picking on the race card, and make a huge profit, find all the winners, and until we meet again, you take care. Salani Kashle.